Welcome to the Board of Adjustment meeting, November 12th, 6:03 p.m. Nicole, if you could start by taking roll, please.
Chair Elfman,
Here.
Mr. Wolf,
Present.
Mr. Mead, Mrs. Mergler, Mrs. Rathburn, Mr. Hagoapan,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Here.
Mr. Yannick,
Yes, here.
Mr. Galis,
Here.
Mr. Shetman. And that is all.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum. And Bob, if you could help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Does anyone have any changes for the minutes?
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Nicole, if you want to just take a quick roll for the minutes. Rather, let's do a voice vote. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Each member of the public that wishes to speak after each item is presented and discussed by the board will have 3 minutes per items. Representatives of association and groups will have 5 minutes. And let's start with the swearing in. Dwayne, would you be able to help assist with that?
Absolutely. Good evening, members of the public. These proceedings are quasi-judicial in nature, so all testimony that is given tonight will be sworn testimony. At this time, if you are speaking on any item on tonight's agenda, I ask that you stand and be sworn at this time. You swear or affirm that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you so much. You may be seated. When you approach to speak at the podium, you will state your name, address, and whether or not you have been sworn. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, first case number 250-70003, 423 Mola Avenue. This is a request for deferral. I did want to see if we have any disclosures first. Let's start with Danella.
No.
Okay, Jared?
Nope.
Samir?
No.
Bob?
None.
Jason?
No.
Pat?
I talked to Andrew Shine just about the getting a deferral, but not about the case.
And I spoke to Andrew Shine as well. Okay.
Good evening.
Mike's on.
Evening, members of the board, Mr. Chair. Robert Healy with Lockery and Chakas on behalf of the property owner at 423 Mola Avenue. As some of you may be aware, I'm here tonight to request a deferral of this item to the board's hearing on December 10th. The primary attorney for the applicant, or for the property owner, Andrew Shine, he's in the middle of a job transition, and he doesn't start at his new firm until November 17th, which is why he wasn't able to appear tonight. Also listed to speak tonight was Nectaria Chakas, who's feeling a little bit under the weather, so here I am. Just for background purposes, this case was originally presented to the board on August 13th.
I'm just going to make a motion. We got a long night. A motion to defer this to the December
I was going to be
meeting.
quick anyways, but that
Okay.
works too.
I'm sorry to,
It's okay.
You get paid by the word. No, sorry.
So motion to
Second.
defer, second. Any discussion? Okay. Second was by Bob Wolf. Motion was by Pat Rathburn. And Nicole, if you take the roll, please.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mr. Mead? Ms. Rathburn?
Yes.
Mr. Hagopian?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Yannick?
Yes.
Mr. Galis?
Yes.
And Mr. Shetman? Chair.
He doesn't get to vote.
Right, Chair Elkins.
Yes, yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Next case, case number 25080001, 2600 Northeast 8th Street. Start with disclosures. Danella?
None.
Okay, Jared?
No.
Samir?
No.
Bob?
Maybe council.
Jason?
Nope.
Pat?
No.
And I had a site visit on this one. So, do we have anybody speaking? The applicant? Okay. The applicant? Okay. Hi. Please get up, state your name and relation to the property. And if you would, please just click the microphone button. Oh, you have to press the button in the front. There you go. You're good, Shane.
Shane Ames, architect, 203 Dixie Boulevard, Delray Beach, Florida. We were here about a month and a half ago, on the property. We have reviewed all of the comments that were made by the neighbors and determined that the plan that we have is the most efficient and most private for all the neighbors involved. And we do have 3 of the other neighbors here as well, if they would like to speak on the matter. Now, let's see. Is there pictures?
Did you present any? Okay. Who would we give that to? Shakira?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
while we're waiting for that, could the applicant give us a brief breakdown of what they believe the justification is
Yes.
as a reminder?
Brief breakdown is we're adding a one-car garage with storage on the left rear portion of the property, which requires a variance to the side setback, or the rear setback, I'm sorry, side or rear. We have a property that there is no, the original house was built with no garage, and there's no place to put one. So being this property is on the main entrance to the community. So as you drive in, it's the first house you see on your left, on the corner. There's a swimming pool in that location, and there is no room to put a garage in any other location other than hiding it on the left rear side of the property, which would require a variance for the setbacks. The setbacks are you can see up the parcel of the red dot, and to the right of that, where it says 2600, right there on the side of that, between that one and the white house there, white roofed house, that's where the garage would be. It is a 25-foot deep and 8-foot high wall with no windows in it, which will face the neighbor. And it is also hedged completely with about a 16 to 18-foot hedge in between the property that is dense and you can't see through without peeking through and with your fingers to try to go through. So we're trying to alleviate any problems with any noise or anything with the neighbor's property. So it's a complete privacy on their patio, which just happens to be on the side of the house. Then we go to the next slide. The house with the red roof is the one we are. You see where the swimming pool is, and you see the main entrance as it comes in to the entire community. So there's no room to get a variance or anything other in that front corner because it's right in the entrance feature. In between the red house there in the middle and the white house, we have enough room to get a garage with a variance for a side setback, which would allow just a one car and matching flat roof up onto that. Go to the next, please. This is the area in between, which we're putting it all the way in the back. This house also does not have the capability to store garbage cans inside the house, which is supposedly a city code. That is also going to be, the garage is also going to be used for that. We have the garage going in place where the existing windows on the historic house stays as it is and goes all the way back to the back. Next, please. A little bit closer up. And you can see on the left side, there's a very tall hedgerow and all dense landscaping all the way back in that back corner. Next, please. This is the areas that we are covering up these two windows and bringing the garage right to the face of the electrical panels. And it goes toward the back. Next, please. This is, again, a side shot where the garage will be built up to that last portion of that where the meter is. Next, please. And this is the view looking forward. So this setback, this garage is set back considerably from the front view, so you don't see it at all from the street. There'll be a paved driveway that'll tag into the existing driveway that's there. Next slide, please. Again, the side of the house where the garage will be located. Next slide, please. And the next slide. This is the back corner where the palm tree there will be removed on the right, and the garage slides into that. So by placing the garage in that location, it also gives even more privacy from the two houses in between, because the wood deck that is here right now is next to the deck on the house next door. Next slide, please. This is the area that will be completely the new garage. Next, please. This is looking straight back. This is the area we're going to be filling where the yellow-orange paint is. That's where the start is. Next slide, please. And coming out to this orange piece. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. And there it is looking forward. You see where the markers, that's the limit of the garage. And you can see on this, the clusia hedge that is very dense. And it will only get denser on the side once the garage is built. Next slide, please. That's where it ties into the house. Next slide, please. Here's the survey of the property. So on the right corner, right lower corner is where the new garage is going to be, and tying into the circular drive that's on the street. Next slide, please. This is a rendering showing how the driveway and how the garage will set back onto the property. What is missing on this thing is all the landscaping that is currently there, just to show what the building looks like. Next slide, please. A little bit close up of the thing. The next one, please. And that's where the garage comes all the way back to the back, encompassing this courtyard that's already existing, further blocking any view into the neighbors or completing the privacy of the patio in the backyard. Next slide, please. And here's where the attachment of the driveway goes back into the garage, and you can see the patio next door and the backyard of the neighbor's house. Next, please. Not sure what that is. Oh, there we go. Just a close-up of the area. Next slide, please. And the elevations. Continuing the theme of the design of the house on the front with the siding. And you can see the big blank wall on the bottom corner right in here. That is the wall that will be facing the neighbor. Be completely no view or interruption of view to that yard. Next slide, please. That it? Okay. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak to this matter? Okay. If you would, please come up, confirm you've been sworn in, and give us your name and your address.
I have been sworn in. My name's Hunter New. I live at 726 Northeast 26th Avenue, so immediately south to the property in question. As a neighbor and an immediate neighbor, I'm in complete support of this. I think the plans will enhance the overall entrance to the neighborhood. There's nowhere for this property to currently park cars that aren't sort of on the swale right now. There's mature foliage on the property line between my house and this property as well. So I'll be right butted up against it. I've got palm tree rows. I've got a hedge on my side as well. I've reviewed the plans. I think they're completely tasteful and are going to improve the overall view of the neighborhood and enhance the neighborhood. So as an immediate next door neighbor, I'm fully in support of this.
Thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to speak to this matter? Okay, seeing none, let's bring it back to the board and see if there's any questions for the applicant. I don't see where he went. There you are. Just if there's any questions first. Do we have any questions, Pat?
Yeah. My recollection was that this was presented at the September meeting, and there were concerns about the how large the variance request was. And again, I may not be remembering this exactly correctly, but that they were going to go back and see what could be done to move it forward, because the variance of 15 feet just seemed to be a stumbling block for some of us. And so they asked to come back. Hasn't changed. They haven't told us anything new. The plan hasn't changed. I just don't even really see what they're doing here, quite frankly.
Okay. Is there anybody else that has a questions for the applicant? Okay. Seeing that we don't, thank you. And we'll bring it back to the board for a vote. Does anybody like to make a motion? In your microphone, Bob, if you're going to do so.
Bear with me, I misplaced my glasses, so if I'm a little scattered on the reading today. I move to grant a variance to section 47-5.31 of the table of dimensional requirements for the RS-8 district, case number 2, BOA 250800001, because the unique hardship was not self-created by the applicant or his predecessors as a result of the basically the hardship created with the original placement of the home on that property. That's my motion.
Okay. Do we have a second? Okay. Dies for lack of second. Guess that's all we have. Anything else have to be done, D. Wayne? If there's no second to the motion?
Yeah, we need another motion to dispose of the matter. So we need
A motion to deny. Is that what?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Pat?
Yes.
I make a motion to deny the variance as requested, given the fact that this is not a unique or special circumstance, and it does not meet the criteria for the granting of a variance.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for denying. Close the public hearing. Is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none. Nicole?
Mr. Wolf?
No.
Ms. Rathburn?
Yes.
Mr. Hergolkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
No.
Mr. Yannick?
No.
Mr. Galis?
No.
Chair Elfman?
No. So the motion to deny fails.
Motion fails.
Motion denied.
5-2.
Motion to deny fails. If you recall, the commission recently changed your vote requirement, so it's a simple majority. However, in terms of the failure of a motion to deny does not authorize the issuance of a final order of approval. So if we can entertain another motion for approval, that would be appreciated at this time.
Microphone?
I move approval of the project with the same reasoning I gave before.
Okay.
Okay, I second that.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Nicole?
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mrs. Rathburn?
No.
Mr. Hergolkin?
No.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Yannick?
Yes.
Mr. Galis?
Yes.
Chair Elfman?
Yes. There we go.
Motion passes.
Okay. Motion passes. Thank you. Take the next case, case number 250-90003, property address 3081 Harbor Drive. First, let's start with disclosures. Danella?
None.
Jared?
No.
Samir?
No.
Bob? Yeah.
Council discussion.
Okay. Okay. Jason?
No.
Pat?
No.
And I did a site visit and spoke to council. Stephanie, you're up.
Good evening, Stephanie Toothaker on behalf of Fort Lauderdale Lodging Owner. Before I begin, I'm going to ask my client Matt Lane to say a few words.
Hi.
Matt, right before you start, were you sworn in as well?
I was, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Matt Lane, 1605 Southeast 9th Street. Good evening. I'm the owner and the developer of the soon-to-be Parakeet Hotel located at 3081 Harbor Drive. We're here today requesting an amendment to allow us to offer basic food and beverage service to our hotel guests. Over the past year, we have invested significant resources into transforming an aging property into a thoughtfully renovated, design-forward boutique hotel that reflects the character and quality of Fort Lauderdale. What we are requesting is simply the ability to provide the essential hospitality offerings that today's modern travelers expect: morning coffee, light refreshments, and simple guest conveniences that support a well-rounded stay in a renovated property of this caliber. This project is personal for us. My wife and I live here in Fort Lauderdale and are deeply committed to the community. My wife sits on the board of the NSU Art Museum in downtown. We're entourage members at the Broward Center of Performing Arts, and we support several charitable organizations throughout Broward County. We care about Fort Lauderdale. we invest in Fort Lauderdale, and we believe in elevating what this city offers to residents and visitors. Our goal with the Parakeet is simple: to take an existing property and make it better, contributing positively to the neighborhood, the local economy, and to Fort Lauderdale's reputation as a city that values design, culture, and hospitality. Thank you for considering our request. I appreciate your time and look forward to continuing to make Fort Lauderdale an exceptional place to live, work, and visit.
Thank you. And Stephanie, I guess you want to add to that?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So let me just bring you to the property location. I never know where I'm supposed to be pointing. There we go. So Matt and his wife purchased an existing motel in Fort Lauderdale, and I call it a motel. It really is going to act more like a hotel, but I call it a motel because that's a distinction in the code that we're basically here to discuss this evening. The property is located at 3081 Harbor Drive. You all may be familiar with that area. I know many of you did site visits. It's a 3-story building that was constructed in 1951. It's a licensed motel since 1990, operating as the Sea Beach Plaza Hotel, and it has 39 rooms. And that is the reason that we're here, because it only has 39 rooms. Matt has been making significant improvements. You can see the before and after. I'm actually friends with a lot of the neighbors that live on this street. I've had a lot of discussions with them. They're excited about the improvements that are being made. Before it, typical kind of old Fort Lauderdale, motel style exterior walkways and whatnot. And then you see on the right the parakeet. Thank you. Okay, so let me talk about the ULDR sections and why we need to be here this evening. So as we continue to upgrade our beach property, one of the things that hotel owners like to do is be able to have food and beverage service that serves their guests. And Fort Lauderdale has an old section of the code that's been amended in some places and not in others that basically says that hotels that have under 50 rooms do not have the opportunity to serve food and beverage to their guests. So we are asking for a waiver of that number, the 39 to 50. If we had 50, it would be by right. And at 39, we have to come to the Board of Adjustment and ask for a request. There's really two things that drive that. One is that the code says that to be able to serve food and beverage, it can only be done from the interior of the hotel. And that's why I mentioned the distinction between hotel and motel. Hotels, you think of, you go in, you walk through a lobby, everything kind of happens on the inside. And a motel tends to be more of this exterior facing where you have these, older properties where you've got a pool on the outside and these exterior walkways. And so, what the code says is that access to such accessory use should be limited to the interior of the building through the main lobby. This property doesn't have a main lobby. It doesn't have an interior. Everything kind of happens on the exterior of the property. And it says there shall be no show windows or displays, which is not applicable here. So, So the requested variances, again, from section 4719(8)A, to allow an existing motel with 39 guest rooms to provide accessory uses, including dining, patio bar, outdoor food service area where the ULDR requires 51 units, and the second hotel accessory use to allow access to such accessories not be internalized. They will be all handled inside the site, but you can access, obviously, the property. As I showed you the images, you can access the property from outside. This is not a restaurant or bar for outside patrons. This is only for people that are staying at the hotel. This is an amenity to the hotel, which means there's no parking requirement. These are people that are already staying in one of the rooms and they would like to go down to the pool and order a drink. This is in the RMH 60 zoning district. It is a permitted use in this zoning district. And as I said, it's future land use high. It's a permitted use, and it's guest only beverage amenity. The capacity is about 30 guests in the common areas. And as Matt said, it's really meant to elevate the guest experience for an overall improvement. This is compatible with existing city codes. In fact, as I mentioned, the city actually revised a different section of the code to allow hotels and motels with under 50 rooms to have food and beverage service, but they, for whatever reason, probably because Matt wasn't involved at the time, they amended it only for sections up on North Beach in a different section of the zoning code. But there was an acknowledgement that as we upgrade the beach, that it's appropriate to have this kind of amenity for hotels and motels that have under 50 guests. It just didn't capture this southern section of the beach. It was really focused on the northern section of the beach. So, so the site plan, just kind of giving you an idea of what that amenity will look like. Just some of the overall improvements to the site. You can see just very tastefully done, small little areas to sit and enjoy food service and beverage service. There's the upgraded pool, and at night. And let me just touch real quickly here on the criteria. So, so special conditions. So the code says that special conditions and circumstances affect the property which prevent the reasonable use of the property. Certainly, it's an existing use. It's not a redevelopment project. It's not a new project. It's an existing hotel motel. And because of the limitation of the existing size of the property and the fact that you wouldn't, you know, I don't even know that it would be possible to add another floor to add 11 rooms. But obviously, because it's existing, those are special conditions. Peculiarity of conditions is really speaking to the same thing, and that's essentially what I just said. It's an existing use, and it's peculiar to the property at issue, which it certainly is. Deprivation of property right. I mean, obviously, Mr. Lane and his wife have an opportunity to use the property, but I think they would like the opportunity to upgrade to have a more seamless experience with, you know, you see some of the other high quality product that's coming to the beach area, and really it's to service a guest and to be, you know, more competitive with what's existing and certainly what's coming. And this is a unique hardship. Obviously, as I said, it's an existing property. It can't be added onto. You can't add hotel rooms. It's limited to the 39 that it has. And this is the minimum variance necessary to achieve that goal. We do have letter support from our neighbor. I've had a lot of conversations. I've done some other projects here in this area, and I've had a lot of conversations with some of the other neighbors that live immediately adjacent, and everybody's happy, or I think everybody's happy. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, let me open up to the public first, and then we can bring you back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak to this matter? Okay, seeing that there's none, we will bring it back to the board. Any questions of the applicant?
Chair, really quickly,
yes, there you are.
I do need to amend my disclosure. I did briefly speak with counsel before.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, while your microphone's on, do you have any questions of council?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Point of information, will this be one motion? This be one motion.
I have a question.
You know what, Dwayne, is there any reason why this could not be one motion? Or do you think it's best as two? I'm sorry, is it best to take each section individually, or is there any reason you
So
feel?
each section needs to stand on its own merit in terms of the criteria, but
Okay.
we have allowed motions to encompass both, but for the clarity of the record, particularly if there's a split vote, it's preferred that it's separate, but you can do it.
Okay,
in
and
one
before you
motion.
do, Bob, thank you, Dwayne. I do have a question from Samir. Go ahead. Oh, sorry, Jared.
Question for you is, as far as if we grant this variance, are you still required, because I don't actually know the laws as far as seating and stuff for alcoholic beverages and 2 COP and 4 COP licenses, will you still be obviously still have to pay for those licenses and buy those licenses? It's not just a way to get there with seating or anything like that.
No, so the way those the 2 COP and the 4 COP work is that we have to apply to the state for those, but the state requires a city zoning verification that it's consistent with city zoning, and so to do that, we have to come to this board to get that zoning verification.
Okay. All right. I was just making sure that it wasn't doing one thing to get the other thing.
No,
So, okay.
they both are required.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. If Jason.
Well,
Oh, go ahead, Pat.
I just wanted to clarify, and you said it, but my vote is based on you putting it in the record, and that is, it's not open to the public, and it's not going to have you're not going to come back and ask for additional signage or something advertising this. It is just for the patrons.
This is only for patrons. It has no availability for any outside guest to come use it. You have to be a guest of the hotel.
Okay, and just a comment that, you know, I love seeing a reuse of a historic building rather than tearing it down and building something new. So I think that in itself is merits this variance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So either Bob or Jason, whichever one wants to go. Go
I'll
ahead,
do the
Bob.
first one you use. Okay. Mr. Chair, I move move a variance to section 47-19.8 hotel accessory uses for case PLN BOA 250900003, requesting a variance allowing a motel with 39 guest rooms to provide accessory uses, including dining rooms, bars, patio bars, etc. And I move that motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. So I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Nicole?
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mrs. Rathburn,
Yes.
Mr. Hagopin,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Yonnet,
Yes.
Mr. Gayless,
Yes.
Chair Elfman.
Yes, motion passes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And Jason, you want to make the second motion?
Sure, I make a motion to grant a variance per section 47-19.8.A.1 hotel accessory uses in that the applicant has exhibited the requirements required, the criteria for a variance, case number PLNBOA 250900003.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. Nicole, you're up.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Miss Rathburn,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Yannick,
Yes.
Mr. Gayless,
Yes.
Chair Elfman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Do I?
Okay.
You didn't
I'm
pick.
sorry, Mr. Hagopin.
Yes.
Okay. Motion
I bet they
passes.
miss you, Jason, making the motion.
And I was like, do I still get a chance?
Okay. Stephanie, now that you're not too far, next case number 250-80003. Start with disclosures. This is for 1151 and all these other addresses, Pino del Rio. And we'll start with you, Daniela. Any disclosures?
Yes, I spoke with counsel.
Okay. Jared?
I received a text message with input regarding the case from somebody on our civic association, but nothing beyond that.
Okay. Samir?
No.
Okay. Bob?
Brief discussion with council.
Okay. Jason?
No.
Pat?
I got a couple of calls from, let's see, various other civic people, and didn't really discuss anything with them, but I don't know if I need to go through the list, but okay.
You're okay. And and for myself, I spoke with counsel, and also we do have quite a few letters that were emailed to us. And Stephanie, we'll let you start over.
Good evening again, members of the Board of Adjustment. Stephanie Toothaker on behalf of New River Point and New River Development. Before I begin, I'd like to ask my client, Denny St. Romain, to come say a few words.
Okay. And sir, when you state your name again, if you would also, were you sworn in?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Denny St. Romain, 717 Middle River Drive. So, good evening, everyone. Just want to say we're local. My partner and I've lived here since 2004. We've raised 3 kids here. I know this property has a lot of history. It's been in front of the city many, many times with very intense development plans. When we purchased it, we basically looked at it from a very simple process with very low intensity. So we're not out-of-towners. We work here. We live here. My partner as well. We want to do something that's nice that we can all be proud of. We've done intense research on the property. We know there's a lot of trees. We've surveyed every tree on this property. We have Dan Remy with the tree team here who has literally surveyed every tree. We have a plan for all of those. So thank you for your consideration tonight, and look forward to addressing any questions you have.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so as Denny said, this property has a lot of history on it. Most people kind of know it as the Whidden property. And as he said, there have been a few attempts to develop this property over time. I was involved very briefly in one of those efforts, and it was an intense multifamily proposal. And at the time, the conversation with the neighbors, my office is in Tarpon River. I have so many friends there. I'm born and raised here in Fort Lauderdale, so I know a lot of people as well. And there was just a lot of chitter chatter, and a lot of the chitter chatter really was, listen, if you would just develop this with single family, we think it's appropriate for single family. And we'd like to see this as a single family development. We just don't think it's appropriate for a multifamily. The first proposal was extremely intense. The later one was a little less intense, but it was still sort of townhomes that surrounded the site. So when Denny and his partner Robert, who I've known for a very long time, our kids grew up together, decided they were going to purchase this property, and told me that they had proposed to do this as a single family development, I thought, wow, everyone's going to be so happy with that. And so I never cease to be surprised by kind of things that happen. But, with that, I really wanted to frame that discussion because like with anything, and Bruce, you've heard me say this a million times, literally I've never worked on a project and I've had people say, yay, a new project. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a home next to you. It could be a multifamily. It just doesn't go that way. So I hope that when we get through our explanation, you'll understand why we're here this evening asking for these variances. There are 3 variances that are before you. I know you're familiar with this property on Davie Boulevard. I've been passing it literally my entire life. On the way to school, I passed it this morning on the way to my son's school. And so I think everybody's really familiar with it. There's one home there that does a really neat sort of Christmas display. And yes, there are some really pretty trees on the site. Not all of them are as nice as you think they are. And certainly we brought our arborist landscape architect here, and even though these variances are not about trees, but I know that that's a topic that people are very passionate about, and we're certainly happy to spend a little time talking about trees. So this is the property along Davie Boulevard, and it is proposed for single family. This is not a multifamily proposal. This is all single family. The variances that before you are only for the southern half of the site. I saw a few emails of people and I talked to some people that live on the north side of it. There's no variance requested on the north side of the site at all. Everything that is before you this evening relates to what's in pink on the south side. So what precipitated us coming before the board was the wall variance, and I think the wall variance is really important to understand what's really happening here. So the wall in Fort Lauderdale has a section of the code, and anybody that if you own a boat or you've tried to, or you have a shed or anything that you want to have on your piece of property, what the code says is that you cannot have any accessory structure on your property unless you have a home. And so a lot of people make a mistake. I've run into it with clients and friends where they buy a piece of property, they tear the house down because they want to redevelop, and they've got a boat docked out back. And guess what? You can't do that because that's considered an accessory structure. Sort of surprisingly, so is a wall. So here in this case, because Denny and his partner and the developer wanted to develop a wall that has uniformity and has beauty along Davie Boulevard to replace the chain link fence that's there now, they went in for a wall permit, and the wall permit was rejected because the city said, lo and behold, your wall is an accessory structure and it can only be done when you build the house. And the reason that we are here before you on the wall is because what we're trying to prevent is individual homeowners building a house and then building one section of a wall that looks like Mediterranean, and the next section of the wall that looks like a fence, and the next section of the wall that looks like mid-century modern. And if you don't request the variance for the wall to be able to build the wall all at one time and first, before these lots are sold to individual future single-family homeowners, you're going to get a hodgepodge of what that might look like along Davie Boulevard. And I don't think that's what anybody would want. And by the way, a wall is a permitted use. It does not require a variance. What requires the variance is doing it all at once and before the homes are built. So I think that's a really important point. I saw some of the petitions and things that were going around that were just not right on the facts. And so I wanted to just spend a minute on that. And I'm going to show you some images of what the proposed wall looks like. And there's two sections of the code that we're requesting a variance as it relates to the wall. One is purely timing. Can we do it now? And can we build one beautiful wall that looks uniform along Davie Boulevard, that has a landscape buffer in front of it, that has a generous sidewalk in front of it, so that when people are walking along Davie or driving along Davie, you see one beautiful structure. Already permitted by code, just not permitted from a timing standpoint. So that's the first variance that we're requesting. The second variance says that we are asking for about 1.5 feet higher wall than what is permitted by code. And let me talk about that for a minute. So under today's code, and I know these have been before this board, and certainly we've all seen them in our single family homes. My house was built in the 50s. My house is very low. The bridge that's next to me actually is 10 feet higher than my house. So people stand on the bridge and they're looking in my second floor bedroom window. That's because under today's code, when you build a new structure, the federal government has what's called a FEMA requirement. And the FEMA requirement says, you know what, we do have rising seas, and we've all seen them, right? And as a result of that, when you build something new, we're going to make you build it higher than what was permitted even 2 years ago, because every couple of years, FEMA takes a look at the maps, and the maps are citywide, and they say, okay, this section of the city, we think it's too low, and we're going to make you raise that by 3 feet, and that section, we think that's too low, and we're going to make you raise that actually. And I'll tell you a quick story. I was going to do a little pool house behind my house. My house is, as I said, is quite old, and I got an approval to build the pool house, and the pool house was going to be 8 feet higher than the floor of my home. So I would be looking out, and the bottom of the pool house was going to be 8 feet higher. That's what's happened over time because of FEMA. And so here what we have is we're asking for the wall is going in. It's being measured from from Davie Boulevard and the existing sidewalk. And because of that, the wall, a 6-foot wall, which is what the code permits by right, a 6-foot wall would be, here. And then when we come in and build the homes are going to start much higher than where that land is today, where that property sits today. And after that house is built, you're going to have a wall that looks ridiculous next to the new home, the new elevation of the home. So we've asked for a variance to improve the height of the wall so that when the homes are built, the height of the wall is consistent with the homes. And not a small issue, but also because the homes are adjacent. Again, this variance is only on the south side, but because these homes are adjacent to Davie Boulevard, which is loud and we all drive it, right? We have a noise issue. We have, future homeowners that are going to want some privacy from the cars driving by and some opportunity to block out some noise, which will be done, partially with landscaping, but partially with that wall. So those are the first two variances that are before you this evening for the wall. And the third variance relates to the size of the lots. So, and I'm going to go into a deeper dive, but I just want to give you an overview. This property, when purchased, when any landowner buys a piece of property and looks at it, they say, okay, what is the zoning that I have to live by? And in this case, the zoning that applies to this property is RS8. RS8 is single family. They're proposing single family. And they said, okay, I'm going to design these homes pursuant to the RS8 single family zoning district. That is the absolute appropriate thing to do. Single family homes don't have to go to a board. They go right to the building department. Any architects will know you design your home pursuant to the zoning. You submit for your building permit. You get your building permit, and you don't ever have to go to DRC or Planning and Zoning Board or City Commission because it's a single family home. There is an old section of the City of Fort Lauderdale Code that quite frankly, was on the list to be taken out of the code because it creates conflicts in the code. There's an old section of the code that says, and Dwayne and I can talk about this all day long. We've had many spirited conversations, but basically says, if you're going to plat your property, you're subdividing, and if you do that, you have to meet a minimum lot size. And the minimum lot size is different than the existing zoning on this property. And so we have already received some, to build a single family home in Fort Lauderdale, you have to request an address from the city. We already have addresses allocated to these properties. We could go in today and pull a building permit to build a single family home because we have addresses and the lots have already been created. But because we were coming in on this wall variance, and because we have been having 2 years of discussions about this old section of the code, we said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and, in an abundance of caution, we're going to request this variance too, just because we're kind of tired of talking about it. So that's the third variance that's before you. And I do have some images, and I haven't even gotten into my PowerPoint. I'm going to try to not, belabor it too much, but I do want to just, I saw the change.org petition, which was wrong in so many places. So let me just spend a minute on that because I really wanted to kind of debunk some of those statements. So 6'6" high privacy walls are already permitted by right. The applicant is requesting, this is what they're saying, and what I'm going to explain what's wrong. The applicant is requesting 8 feet privacy wall along Davie, which is only additional 1.6 given the property's location abutting arterial road. They're saying that the variance is going to create a walled off compound. That's not accurate. It's along Davie Boulevard and on the side road. There's no wall proposal on the water. Nobody would do that. You wouldn't build a wall on the water side. That's just not, and it's not even here before you this evening. Second, the variance will allow them to extend the fence a few feet further into Davie Boulevard. That's not accurate either. The code requires that you move your wall be 3 feet off your property line. And the reason that the code requests that is because they want a generous buffer to allow landscaping and trees. So the wall is designed to code except for the height and the timing. That's it. The variance will permit duplexes. Not true. These are proposed for single family. The variance will allow them to move trees. Let me spend a minute on that. This variance has nothing to do with trees. The tree permit, the tree removal permit, has already been issued. That's accurate. There are trees that will be taken out from this site. Obviously, if we can, we want to save as many of the nice trees as we can, but a tree removal permit has already been issued. You don't need a variance for it. It's just not an accurate statement. There are trees that are going to be removed. Many of them are invasive species. Again, I'm happy to have Dan come up and talk. So this is the landscape permit. I know Dan spent a lot of time on this site walking, measuring trees. This one's invasive. Some of them don't even require permits to remove them because, I myself had black olives, destroyed literally everything. The city lets you take those out because they're not good for the environment. They're not good for South Florida. So this permit has already been issued. So I talked about the wall variance. I don't need to go into it deeply again, but I do want to show you this is the location of the wall. There is an existing chain link fence there today. The wall will be moved back slightly. The chain link fence is allowed to be on the property line. A privacy wall is not. And the reason the privacy wall has to be moved back is because the city's code requires it. The city code requires you to do that so you have appropriate landscaping. We can put some nice trees and some buffering and some bushes and things like that. So the wall will be 3 feet from the property line. And as I already described why we asked for additional height so that the wall, frankly, doesn't look ridiculous once the homes are built. So this is what's here today. And you can see I put a cross section in here that explains what's happening. That's the existing fence, obviously. That's on the property line today. The wall will be set back 3 feet. And in between that 3 foot setback, and you can see what I'm showing you, it's not some monstrosity over the top, from the sidewalk side, 6 feet. It's going to be slightly taller than a human, but it's going to have a lot of landscaping in front of it. And on the other side, there will be trees and homes and people's backyards. On the right-hand side, if you can see that, that's what the wall is proposed to look like. It's a stacked stone. It's a very expensive wall. It's really meant to be an enhancement and not something negative. It's meant to be beautiful. And again, if you could just imagine if each individual homeowner comes in and wants to build their own style, what that would look like, I think people would be much more upset than they would to see something consistent and beautiful that really adds to the neighborhood. We took this little video that shows it. I think there's also a misperception that this is just woods. That's not accurate either. A good portion of the property is wide open, and as you know, Davie Boulevard is a heavily traveled road. So this is just, at a random time during the day. And I think, if you were to live in one of these future homes, you would want the benefit of having some privacy and some attenuation to the noise for the wall. Again, I'm just showing you, for the wall portion that is on the side street, that does not require a variance for the height. That's by code. The one on the Davie side, we're asking for the variance because of the homes behind it. Okay, so the lot size and width. As I said, the property is zoned RS8. The future homes will have to be designed to the RS8. We are not asking for any variances or waivers from the RS8 zoning code. The RS8 zoning code is, I would say, probably the majority of single family neighborhoods in Fort Lauderdale. What we are saying is we would like to develop the homes consistent with the RS8 zoning that's in place today and allow us to, not have to talk for another 2 years about this old section of the code that, quite frankly, was going to be removed. So platting is not required. We do not have to plat this property. Platting is required in many instances. If we were to develop a multifamily project, you would have to plat this property, but for single family homes, plats are not required. That's a rule. And you may or may not be aware that the legislature in the last legislative session, they also passed a law that said boards and municipalities can't vote on plats anymore. These are 100% administrative. We used to go a lot to plats would come to planning and zoning board, city commission. They would go to the county, and there were a lot of public hearings about plats. That's been taken off the table. The legislature took that away, and they said to the municipalities, you have to approve these, you have to sign them, and they're all going to be handled administratively. So those days of platting are long gone anyway. But in this case, just to be clear, platting is not required because these are single family homes. So one of the things that we are trying to do is if you've driven this private road, it jogs a little bit and it needs improvement. It's an old private road. It's a beautiful area, but it does need to be brought up to modern standards, and so that is part of why we requested this variance. It allows us to realign the roadway and make the improvements to the roadway. So I'm showing you that there, and this is the lot layout. I wanted to spend just a few minutes talking about the RS8 zoning district because I spent some time researching, because I just kept hearing all these things that were just not accurate about that we're asking for all these waivers and that, that we're building duplexes and that, we're not meeting the minimum standards. And I said to myself, well, I've lived in Fort Lauderdale almost my entire life, and I'm pretty sure my neighborhood is RS8. And so we went back and we looked, and so this is this property. So I want to show this to you. So we're asking to develop this property right in the middle here, where you see the black lines in the center, pursuant to the RS8, the existing RS8, with no waivers from the existing code. And we are bounded on either side by RMH 25, which is a multifamily zoning district, and on the south by RMH 25, which is a multifamily zoning district. To our east is RD 15. So that's townhomes, multifamily. It's a hodgepodge, duplexes. You kind of get like a little bit of everything, a mix of everything. But this property, the donut hole, is the least dense of everything that surrounds us. And we are asking to be able to use the existing zoning code with no waivers from that zoning code. So that's this property. And then I just thought it would be important to look at the proposed ULDR amendment. This was on a planning and zoning board agenda not so long ago. It got pulled off for reasons that had absolutely nothing to do with this project, but it is a section of the code that I don't want to speak for staff, and it's not appropriate for me to, but I think if you ask them, they will say this conflict in the city's own code has been problematic for many years and it needs to be cleaned up. So we looked at RS8. Where is RS8? As if RS8 is some, terrible standard to live by. So everything in blue, all those neighborhoods, those are all RS8 neighborhoods. Every single one of them. That's almost every single family neighborhood in Fort Lauderdale is zoned RS8. Almost every single one, with few exception. There are a few that are RS4 that have some different requirements in the RS4. Some neighborhoods are split a little bit between RS8 and RS4. My own neighborhood is, but I'm in an RS8 district. So I wanted to share that with you because that's a very common standard throughout Fort Lauderdale, the RS8 zoning. So here is, this is Riverside Park. So I thought this would be important to look at. So Riverside Park is where it's single family, it's RS8. A good portion of it is RD15. That's 15 units to the acre. That's multifamily. So you see there's RS8 in the middle and then RD15 multifamily on both sides. So that's Riverside Park. This is Rio Vista. Rio Vista is almost predominantly RS8. So all those beautiful homes in Rio Vista, they're all built pursuant to the RS8 zoning district. Same that we're asking for this evening for this. There's some, as I said, there's some part of Rio Vista that's RS 4.4, but the majority of Rio Vista, almost the entire Rio Vista, is RS 8. Sorry, that's Rio Vista. Sorry, Rio Vista. I got to catch up to myself. And then I think I was showing you Riverside Park and Victoria Park, also all RS 8, and then Victoria Park also has some other multifamily zoning that kind of carries throughout it. So let me just jump to the variance criteria, as you've probably heard enough from me tonight. But special conditions and circumstances that affect the property at issue, which prevent reasonable use of the property. Let me talk first about the wall. I think the FEMA requirements, the height of the wall, I think that justifies the height of the wall because otherwise you're going to have a wall that is like in the middle of a home. And certainly, to be able to build a uniform wall, as I said, it's not a question of whether the wall is permitted. It's just a timing issue that brought us here this and to allow future single-family home owners to, basically build their single-family homes without having to have this discussion 100 more times. So peculiarity of conditions, I think we've made that record. Not only the wall, the peculiarity is the timing, the height, and then of course as the RS8. Again, we're not asking for variances from the RS8. We're asking for the board to acknowledge there's a conflict in the code that's creating an issue that's asking us to, in an abundance of caution, come before you this evening. Deprivation of substantial property right. I really think that's really the same response that the property right, we have a property right to build the single family homes. We have a right to build the wall. It's a timing issue. It's because of the height, because of FEMA. That's what's creating the issue with the wall and the property right. As I said, we actually already have the permit for the tree removal, and we've got some addresses that have already been issued. So this actually could be, we could go build some of these homes today. We're just asking to have a formal acknowledgement that that this is not an issue. I think those same discussions relate to why it's a unique hardship. There's not. I had a discussion with staff today, and I said, well, how many other places in the city does this even apply to? Like this conflict between the subdivision regulations and like where is that going to come up ever again? And the answer was there's a handful of places in Fort Lauderdale, and really they relate to if you were to redevelop like a church property or something. But it's where it's in a single family neighborhood. It's not. There were I don't know. I don't want to give you a specific number because I don't want to be wrong, but they did that analysis and study when they were looking at this code revision, and they said basically it's not something that we're going to be faced with a lot. we do believe this is the minimum variance necessary for all the reasons that I enumerated, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Happy to, as I said, the trees are not on the agenda tonight. There's no issue with the trees. There's no variance required for trees, but we're more than happy to discuss it and happy to answer any of their questions. And thank you for your consideration.
Okay. Thank you, Stephanie. I do want to just add something for my disclosures. Is I did hear about on this particular property when it was brought and when I was on planning and zoning. That was several years back. I don't know if that changes anything, but I want to at least put that in there. Okay. Before we have members of the public speak, I just want to, after reading all the letters, this is not going to be about trees specifically, and I know a lot of letters are about that, and we heard it in front. So if we have anybody wants to speak in reference to what variances are in front of us, appreciate that. Mohammed, did you have something you want to add?
Yeah, Chair, I have a clarification with Stephanie because I spoke with her office. Stephanie, just to clarify, the height of the wall will be measured from the sidewalk, not from the finished floor of the house. So a couple of people had concern. They were calling our office today, and your office confirmed that it will be measured from the sidewalk.
That's correct.
Not from grade, as you know, the grade could be
That's correct.
The finished grade of the principal structures. So if you want to just clarify that.
That's correct. And that's why I showed you the image, because the wall is being measured from a lower elevation than where the future height of the home is. That's actually why we're asking for the variance, because the wall gets measured from the existing sidewalk that's there today. And when the fill comes in for the homes, that will be significantly higher. So yes, it is. So it will be 8 feet from what's there today.
From the sidewalk?
From the sidewalk, yes. Yes.
Okay. Stephanie, I think you could sit back for a little bit. I know we have members of the public wishing to speak, so please come up single file, and for anybody who wants to speak, and just state if you've been sworn in and your name and property address.
And no trees.
Sure. And by the way, you have each person's going to have 3 minutes to speak. If you are a representative association, let me know, and you'll have 5 minutes. So please go right ahead. You're good.
Thank you. My name is Jeffrey Shallak. I'm with the law firm of Jeffrey B. Shallak, Esquire, PA. I represent Giorgio, which is the owner of the property at 1131 Southwest 9th Street, and I have been sworn in. I listened to Ms. Toothacre's. Can you speak into the mic? Yes, ma'am. I'm doing the best I can. I talk softly. I could try and talk a little louder if you like. I listened to Ms. Toothacre's explanation of, and we're really not here on the wall. We're here on the width. The 50-foot width is our problem. We think that shrinking the lots from 75 to 50 feet would basically increase the density by 50%. They would be allowed to now build 31 homes where there could only be 20 under the current RS8 standard of 75 feet width and 7,500 square foot. When you look at the property line, north and south, you have 180 linear feet from north to south. And when I read this, I heard what Ms. Toothacre said. I don't see much or didn't hear much of an explanation as to the hardship, why she needs to shrink that from 75 to 50. I heard some discussion about a potential conflict between two different standards and, something that's been considered before and something in front of the legislature. None of that's in front of us. I don't really care about that. We have this standard that she's asking for a variance from, and that standard is 75 feet and 7,500 square foot. If at 180 feet, based upon her explanation in the letter submitting, the explanation that was provided to the public, she could take 40 feet from the street and 40 feet from Pina and 40 feet from Davie, still have 100 feet, still have to make 75-foot lots, because that still would satisfy the 7,500 square foot problem here. There is no unique hardship. My understanding of the law and I know you all know it, but there has to be, in order for you to give a variance, there can be an exceptional and unique hardship to the individual landowner, unique to that parcel, and not shared by any other property in the area. And without it, there could be no reasonable use according to the intentions of the party. None of that is remotely met here, not a drop of it. It is simply put trying to get more money out of this property by turning this into 31 properties instead of 20. I also want to say that...
And if you could just finish through your sentence, please.
I'm sorry?
If you could just finish through.
Okay,
We have a lot of people to speak tonight.
I'm sorry. You know, lawyers, we like to talk, so maybe more so than the public. This change, these 50-foot lots and these smaller houses are totally incongruent with the use in this area. There are no 6,000 square foot lots in this area. Anything that's RS8 is 7,500 square feet. And, you know, to me, there's just no hardship shown here.
Okay.
So if you want me to stop, I'll stop. And
I think we're up. Thank you.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. If you could please confirm that you've been sworn in and state your name and property address.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Sally Allshouse. I have been sworn in. I live at 1101 River Reach Drive. I've been a resident of River Reach, which is the property adjacent to the subject property, for over 45 years. In response to the presentation made, I would say that there is no hardship that requires a variance for a higher wall than code allows, or the ability to lower plot size requirements to smaller than code allows. Variances are only usually allowed if there is some hardship. In this case, there isn't, just a developer trying to make money. As an additional point, who will maintain the new landscaping and the wall? I've driven along Davie Boulevard, as have many of you, for many years, and seen that that particular stretch of Davie Boulevard gets maintained by nobody. So I have to ask, is there a public good or benefit that this variance gives? The area is zoned single family. I feel with the traffic on Davie Boulevard, what should be built is that for which it is zoned. My husband and I spent about 10 minutes trying to get out of our property tonight at River Reach because Southwest 9th Avenue was backed up almost all the way to 7th Street. Also, has anyone considered the drainage issues that will impact our adjacent property? I want to thank you, and I oppose the granting of the variance.
Thank you. And Dwayne, is there anything that we need to do since Jay is a member of our board for him to be able to speak in this matter? And he was shown as being here.
There's nothing that you need to do in terms of he's serving as an alternate and is not sitting on the panel. Generally, if you're sitting on the panel, you have to announce and remove yourself from the dais, but you would then be allowed to participate.
Okay. In that case, Jay, you could state your name, confirm you've been sworn in, and address, and go from there.
Hey guys, Jay Schechtman, 811 Southwest 7th Avenue, Fort Lauderdale, in the Tarpon River neighborhood. I was formerly the president of Tarpon River for a couple of years, but my knowledge of development, proposed developments on the site went back to when I first moved into the neighborhood in 2017, so 8-9 years ago, when the Whittens, when they owned the asset, the property, were their intent, they were trying to get like a higher intensity. As you know, someone that formerly served on planning and zoning, I was always concerned about that, just given that when you lay it on a map and you see the RMM 25 on both the north and the south, that we would end up with some type of high density development there. Whereas for me, it was important to try to preserve the single family home nature of the community. So then the following iteration years later was a hybrid of like multifamily along the water, and then duplexes throughout where the single family homes are proposed off of the water. And, the neighborhood, was working with them on that. And so when it was sold and now the proposal has become just traditional single family homes, I was actually very happy about that. I think it will really enhance our area. And I think that the addition of the wall will help add a nice perimeter to the neighborhood and help block off some of the noise from Davie Boulevard. So I personally am in support of that. I will let you all, since you all showed up, make your determinations as to what meets the code and what doesn't. But RS8 obviously, as a zoning designation, allows for 6,000 square foot lots, and much of our neighborhood is RD15 and 6,000 square foot lots. The townhouse I live in was a 50-foot wide 50-foot wide duplex that was built on a 6,000 square foot lot. And so, even though I live in one, I would hate to see more townhouses, and I'm happy that they're building single family homes.
Thank you, Jay. Is there anybody else wishing to speak?
Yes.
Oh, there you are. Hi. And will you be able to leave that with us so we can make it part of the record?
Yes.
Okay. If you could please confirm you've been sworn in, state your name and property address.
Yes, I've been sworn in, and my name is Trudy Germanovich, and I live at 1220 Southwest 13th Circle, which is just off Citrus Isle. I've provided each member of this board with a reminder of what's at stake with the decisions they make today. And every day, I hope you keep this photograph for other things too. Because what this shows is the natural canopy that surrounds the properties around Davie Boulevard Bridge. Every day, thousands of drivers get to enjoy a taste of old Florida as they go over that bridge. I dare say you can't find another main thoroughfare which has such a wonderful view of our natural surroundings. I'm against the building of the 8-foot concrete fence because I believe they could have just put in a regular fence, done the same thing, built it up a little bit, but it wouldn't have destroyed as many trees. And that's my objection to the fence. I also think that the variance that's being asked for the, I live in a duplex. We rented for many years and then we bought it. And I know that the duplexes on Citrus Isle are very, very close together. And I see these homes almost being on top of each other. And so I look at it and I go, why are they putting so many in? And that's my concern. Not only the concern with the amount of traffic that we always get, obviously, but the sewer system and everything else that goes along with it. And I believe they should not get that variance and just build fewer homes. So that would be my suggestion to you. I hope you'll keep this and think about it. The fence could have gone around some trees. I believe there's a slash pine, and I thought that was a protected tree that's being removed. So there's a whole lot of things that I don't like about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, sir. Yes, please confirm you've been sworn in, state your name and property
I have
address.
been sworn in. My name is John Jolly, 1131 Southwest 9th Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd just like to read out my petition to you, if you don't mind. I'm basically objecting to the idea of putting 50-foot lots instead of 75-foot lots. I've lived in Fort Lauderdale for almost 50 years and about 30 years on this particular street. Several times people have tried to change the zoning and lot sizes, and it's always been denied for good reasons. The street is somewhat of an oasis because of its mature trees and well-spaced properties. putting more houses on the lot will change the aesthetics of the area, and while creating increased traffic flow, flooding, safety issues, just some of the distresses that will change our current ways. The developers are supposed to show hardship. However, there is plenty of opportunity to develop this land without changing the lot sizes. They were well aware of the zoning when they bought the property. We have all been somewhat intimidated by the developers and their lawyers to the extent that we got our own lawyer. All we are actually trying to do is uphold the city's rules and regulations. Thank you, Commissioners. Okay.
Thank you. Hello, sir. Please confirm you've been sworn in. State your name and property address.
I have not.
Okay.
I have not been sworn in.
Then let's see if we could have you sworn in, Dwayne.
If there's any other members of the public that are going to speak tonight on any items, if you would stand to be sworn as well. All right. Please stand to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you could please state your name and property address.
My name is Jeff Liss. I live at 1350 River Reach Drive, unit number 217. I'm the closest resident here to the proposed development of these properties. I live across the canal to the north. I look out my windows and I see the point lot. I don't know if you can bring that up on here, but the point lot used to have two really old dilapidated houses on it, which have now been torn down. I have watched what's been going on there for the last year and how it's been maintained and how the trees have been taken care of, and everything they said is absolutely true. I watch it on a daily basis. Is it appropriate for me to ask questions?
No, really more to give a statement because we're not able to.
Okay, well then my statement would be, the only two concerns that I have with regard to the request tonight is how the drainage is going to be handled given the new FEMA rules and given its proximity to the new river and the canal, and the fact that if the land is being raised, how is the drainage between the home foundation pads going to be handled, and how is it going to be kept from flowing over the seawall into the waterway behind it? Okay, that's directly across from me. My concern there is and I spent some time speaking with council with regard to this today about the walls, and I understand the walls is only along Davie and along 9th, and it seems appropriate to me given the amount of traffic that's on those roads, which has even been testified and seen tonight. Okay. But this whole thing with regard to drainage, usually under the old platting rules, you had to have drainage associated with the old platting rules. And now if you don't have platting rules, my concern is if you're raising those pads, how is the drainage going to be handled? And eventually, if it's going to have to be handled to keep from going into the canals, there's going to have to be some type of a barrier put along the seawall to retain that in some way, or a swale is going to have to be created. That's my primary concern. I'm looking out right now. It looks like a park. It's beautiful, and I know that's going to change. That's an inevitable, and I plan on living there the rest of my life, God willing. And it's a beautiful area, and I'm glad to hear single-family residences are being proposed for it. I think that's appropriate. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hello, sir.
Hi.
Please state your name and property address.
My name is Josh Shepard. I live at 2841 North Ocean Boulevard, and I am the son-in-law of the Christmas guy who lives at 1131 Southwest 9th Ave. One concern that I haven't heard anybody bring up is the variance of accepting the wall construction prior to construction of the homes, is that many of the homes or the lots are being sold individually. They might not be completed all in time. There could be an issue of 5 years, 10 years, who knows, with the market today, of construction continually going on in that lot. And the gentleman before me also, I'd like to reiterate what he said about the drainage as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. My name's Jill First, and I've lived at 1131 Southwest 9th Avenue, house number 2, for 10 years. I'm the pastor at First United Methodist Church, and it is the church-owned home. And so it's been owned by the church since the 1950s. And their main concern, and I have a trustee here as well, I report to a trustee board, and they had questions primarily about the lot sizes. They were not as concerned about the wall, but the lot sizes, because there is a lot of drainage issue. I've lived here 10 years, and that natural area has flooded 8 times. And one time, April 14, 2023, the flood was so extensive that my trustees could not get into my property with a regular car. They had to have an SUV or something higher. And I have pictures of that. I actually made them on pages, that would be difficult if you're having 30 more homes or 31 more homes or whatever. The density of the people, and my trustee chair and I tonight were getting in and out of 9th Avenue, and I actually had to walk down the street and meet her because the traffic was so bumper to bumper to bumper from Davie, which is 12th, all the way to 7th. And it was moving very slowly. And I said, if you added 30 homes into that lot area, and you also didn't deal with the drainage, I have to stagger when I leave to go to work because you can't see going left. There's cars coming, and it's like ends up being 3 lanes, and it's very difficult to get in and out if you go during high traffic times. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yep. Yes. Hi.
Yes, and I was not sworn in. My name is Brucey Cummings.
Then before you speak, Brucey, we're going to swear you in.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go right
Thank
ahead,
you.
please.
I am Brucey Cummings, and I live at 830 Southwest 9th Avenue. 9th Street, here I know. And we have been through this, as Stephanie said, for many, many, many years. I am very much in support of the wall. I totally understand what she's saying because of everything needing to be built up, and it makes perfect sense to me as far as the wall goes, and I think that would really help the neighborhood. I don't wish to say anything further about the variances because I personally don't have as much information about that, and I think enough has been said then. But I just want to say I do support the wall.
Thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to speak? Fred, you coming down?
Fred Stressaw, I have been sworn in. My address is 1004 Southeast 7th Street in Fort Lauderdale. I was going to ask a procedural question since there's 3 variances, whether you get more than 3 minutes.
See if you can get it down to 3 minutes, Fred. Let's see how you do.
Let me give it a try and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
I wanted to take the first question on the variance for walls and fences at 8 feet. I had a question as to the fact that if the wall is to be constructed at grade, whether the grade actually is the grade of the sidewalk or the grade at the location of where the fence is to be placed. And I think that's pretty important. The grade on this particular property drops off, and if you measure from the sidewalk, that's one issue. If you measure back, that's another issue. And my suggestion is, and the applicant has romanced the board in believing that there's a great deal of beautiful landscaping that's going to go between the sidewalk and the fence. That's not true. And I guess that I have to say at this time, and I didn't want to blow my own horn exactly, I've been a registered landscape architect for almost 60 years. I've done projects, major projects throughout the entire city, and I can tell you that you cannot screen this wall with 3 feet of landscaping, so that if the board were to consider granting the variance for the taller wall, you should consider asking or stipulating that the wall sit back a bit further than the 3 feet as the code requires. That's pretty simple. The lots are quite deep. And I think that that might help soften the visual impact of the wall. I had concern, and I voiced it to the staff, over how the wall is to be measured. And I suppose, as long as the board is aware that the applicant has acquiesced and said that they will deal with the grade from the grade where the fence is to be placed, that everything is copacetic. In Rio Vista, what started this discussion in front of this board 3 years ago was that somebody came in and we granted a variance and they built a 10.5-foot wall on Cordova Road. And the reaction of the community has now forced the city commission in the last 3 weeks to request that the staff rewrite the ordinance to deal with the FEMA elevations. I don't think that the additional height is warranted, particularly if there's not sufficient landscaping between it and the sidewalk. But I do agree with the applicant that the fact that it's better to have one continuous design for the whole 1,600 feet.
And if you can kind of finish up, Fred.
Well, what I really wanted to get to, and I'm discouraged that none of the members of the board went and looked at the site. I know that you've driven by it. If you went onto the site, you will see that it has most of the most magnificent trees in the city of Fort Lauderdale. When you develop on a 50-foot lot and you build a 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 square foot house on a 50-foot lot, you're going to have a 5-foot side yard setback. That will not allow anybody to move to save any one of these trees. Everybody has talked about the drainage and the fill. When you add 2 or 3 feet of fill to this site, it will kill every tree that's there. And I don't know. I heard tonight that they have a tree removal permit that has already been granted, and it is beyond me how the city could grant a tree removal permit because the code requires that the applicant show that they cannot adjust the site plan in order to save the trees. I don't understand how the department could issue a tree removal permit other than the fact that the applicant is trying to take advantage of the fact that the old code, which had a very limited
Fred,
amount of evaluation.
I gave you a little extra time, but
I will. A very limited amount of the evaluation of the trees is that the new code has raised the impact of removing those trees by almost 3 times. And you cannot, and I'm telling you as a 60-year landscape architect registered with the state, you cannot save almost any tree on that site if you decrease the size of the width of the lots.
Thank you, Fred. I almost played Academy Award music with you. Okay. Sir, if you'd like to come up and speak. Please confirm you've been sworn in, state your name and property address.
Hi, my name's Lawrence Kelly. I live at
10... 1 second, Lawrence. If you could press the button down there at the bottom so we have the microphone hot. It's right in the middle. There we go. Please.
My name's Lawrence Kelly. I live at 1012 Mango Isle. I've lived there about 32 years. And I think the wall along Davie is going to be a plus because the fence that's been there for 30 years has been horrible. So I'm sure the developer's going to make a nice wall there. If it's a little higher, I don't have a problem with that. But the lot size being cut down a third is going to really increase traffic. And that's a problem. Traffic's already backed up from the bridge all the way to 4th Avenue every day from 5 till probably 6:15, 6:30. It's also backed up from Davie south on 9th Avenue, which it never used to be, but it is now 3 or 4 blocks down. So that's a big problem. And I think, making those lots smaller is not going to help any of the issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak? Okay, seeing that we're none, I'm going to close the public hearing. I'm going to bring it back to the board. And Stephanie, maybe you want to come up there. I'm sure there's going to be some questions. Anybody have any questions for the applicant? Pat?
Yeah. Stephanie, these are platted lots of record, right, at 50 feet? They're platted at 50 feet?
They're not platted. There's no plat.
There's no plat.
Those are tax folios. Correct.
Sorry, no cross discussion there.
The tax folios have already been granted for the lots at the RS8 zoning.
Okay. Was there something else to Pat?
But the RS8 zoning is a 75-foot lot.
No, it's a 50-foot lot.
Okay. But the subdivision regulations are 75.
Subdivision platting requires 75-foot lot. These lots were designed to the existing zoning, and I wanted to touch on that because someone said if you had just looked at the existing zoning is a 50-foot lot. So they are designed to the existing zoning with no waivers from that minimum lot size. And I was going to just talk about the drainage because I think it's a valid question, and I did have the chance to talk to Mr. List today if you'd like me to.
Actually, that was going to be one of my questions, so you might as well just address it.
Okay. So when you build anything in Fort Lauderdale, anywhere in Broward County, it's true to say that that platting requires you to address drainage. But the city of Fort Lauderdale also requires you to address drainage. So just if you don't plat, it doesn't mean that you don't have to address drainage. When you build a single family home, just like if you're building a multifamily project, you are required under the existing building code to ensure that you are maintaining all of your drainage on site. You are not permitted to allow one drop of your drainage to go onto your neighbor's property. The city of Fort Lauderdale does a really good job of requiring when you go in with your building permit to the city with your single family home, your designed single family home, the city will not allow you to request a building permit until you have a stamp from Broward County Surface Water Management. And that stamp from Broward County Surface Water Management is the county's review of your drainage calculations, which must be done for any development. And that's done by a civil engineer. The civil engineer does very complicated, I'm not going to pretend to understand them, but extremely complicated drainage calculations. And part of that drainage calculation is under today's rules, you're not allowed to drain old homes when they were built. A lot of them drained right into the canals and the rivers. That's not permitted anymore. You're not allowed to do that. You do see that in several places around town because those are older homes. But when you redevelop, you must maintain your drainage on site. So it's a really good question, and I did want to address that.
I'm going to have a question for you. There was also brought up as far as the number of homes, question that if it's changed, are you going to be putting more homes? So if you would like to address that.
No. So the homes are designed, again, to the existing zoning category, which is the RS8. If it's changed, what we're asking the board to review is that there's a conflict in the code. We're not asking for a change to the code. We're asking for you to say that the subdivision regulation, which requires something different, that
I think
does not
what the
apply.
question had been asked is the number of homes that will be there. So,
It's total of 31. 31. So total of 31 homes.
okay. Sir, please, we can't have the cross-section talk. Okay, 31 homes.
31 total, yes. Okay. Pursuant to the RS8, yes.
Thank you. Is there any other questions from our board members before we bring it back? Okay, thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you very much.
So I'm going to bring it back to the board for discussion. Board, any comments of each other? Any motions?
I'll move. Do we have to do these separately, right?
Let's please them separately.
Mr. Chair, I move a yes vote on granting a variance on section 47-19 1.8 general requirements for PLN BOA 250800003, requesting a variance to permit an accessory structure, specifically a permanent privacy wall, to be constructed, placed, erected, and built prior to the start of the construction of the principal building. My motion is yes.
Second.
Okay. Motion and second. Any further discussion? Okay. Nicole?
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Ms. Rathburn,
Yes.
Mr. Hergolkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Yannick,
Yes.
Mr. Galis,
Yes.
Chair Elfman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next section?
Chair, before the consideration of this section,
Sure.
this is the section that there were comments with regards to where the measurement of the privacy wall would be made from. The current request as listed in the agenda is measured from grade. There was discussion as to having the measurement be from the sidewalk. Can we get clarification? Because I heard during Mr. Stresshouse talk about the sidewalk grade, and I thought I heard earlier that it was from the surface of the sidewalk. So if there's a clarification of that, I would suggest that whoever makes the motion on this substitute whatever that term is for grade in this particular section.
And we concur with that.
Is it the surface or the grade of the sidewalk?
Where's the, Mohammed? No, that's you. It was a discussion with you.
I think the assumption is on top of the sidewalk, whatever the grade is, that's what the wall be measured to be 8 feet from that.
Okay, so it would be from the surface of the sidewalk.
We agree with that.
Okay.
Okay. Jason?
Sure. I make a motion to grant the variance indicated in section 47-19.5.B.1D, fences, walls, and hedges, requesting a variance to permit a privacy wall to be constructed at a maximum height of 8 feet, measured from the surface of the existing sidewalk on Dade Boulevard, whereas the ULDR limits the maximum height of a fence or wall to 6'6", measured from grade, to a total variance of 1 foot 6 inches in height.
Second.
Okay. Motion and second. Any discussion? Okay. Nicole?
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Ms. Rathburn,
Yes.
Mr. Hergolkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Yannick,
Yes.
Mr. Galis,
Yes.
and Chair Elfman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. We have one more.
Mr. Chairman, I move the granting of variance section 47-24.5.D.3C, subsection 2, I guess, subdivision regulations. This would be granting of variance to request variance from the required lot sizes for lots for the detached single-family and duplex dwellings in the RS8 zoning district to allow for a minimum lot size between 6,000 square foot and 7,499 square foot for lots 1 to 30, and a minimum lot width of 50 feet for lots 1 through 30 and lot 42, whereas the ULDR section requires a minimum lot size of 7,500 square feet and a minimum lot width of 75 feet for maximum variance request of 1,500 square feet in lot area and 25 feet in lot width. That's my motion, Mr. Chair.
Now, are you finding that it meets the criteria for granting a variance?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay. Motion and second. Any discussion?
No.
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 What's the hardship?
It just, listen, public hearing's closed. We have our motion and second. Any discussion on the motion?
I do have a question.
Sure.
And I'm new here, so maybe you guys
It's okay.
do this all the time. But what I'm understanding is there is a conflict of law regarding this issue. And is it our job to resolve a conflict of law? I'd love to hear from Mr. Spence about this.
So if it was presented to you, you do have an ability to review interpretations of or appeals of interpretations of the code. So the conflict of law is not an item for this board to resolve. What is being requested here is that the section in question, that they be granted a variance from the section in question.
But if the section in question isn't applicable to them, then why would they need a variance from that section? I guess is where I'm.
Sure. So that is the actual question. So what the testimony you've received tonight is that the zoning district has one standard for lot size and width, which is what the applicant's attorney has presented on the record. When it comes to the subdivision regulations provides for, when platting a property, a different size and width. This applies when an individual is platting a property. The applicant, based on the proposed development scheme, is not required to plat their property and would not be subject to the lot size and width. The issue here is an interpretation from myself that staff has adopted that speaks to the definition of subdivision. So even though the property owner isn't required to plat the property, but on the definition of the code for subdivision, our interpretation of this section has been that any subdivision of land would be subject to other code requirements even when the property is not being platted. And that's the issue. So it's not necessarily a conflict of law. Council is firm on their position that the section does not apply, but in abundance of caution, because they were coming before the board for the variance on the other issues, we recommended that they add this section for the sake of clarity.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just want to thank you for the clarification, Dwayne. Obviously, I think most people would prefer 75-foot lots. Going back to what Fred Stressa said about the trees and being able to keep the trees. But the trees are not in front of us, and Stephanie's right that they can go in and build single-family homes at 50 feet. So I really don't see where there's much flexibility on this issue. But I did want to go on the record as saying that obviously if I saw that flexibility, I would be voting differently than I'm going to vote. Thank you.
Thank you. So we do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Then Nicole?
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Rathburn?
Yes.
Mr. Gilpin?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Yannick?
Yes.
Mr. Galis?
No.
Chair Elfman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, before we call our next case, I'm going to leave it to the board. They did, in anticipation of a long meeting, they did offer pizza back there. Do you want to take a 5-minute break, or do you want to come right in?
I think Rep Pizza come back.
Okay, let's take 5 minutes then, please.
stuff that you're talking about in terms of what you have to do, the streets.
How is it going to be done? Are we going to tell the new owner who's looking for a single family home, put the lot?
250-80004, 5811 Bayview Drive. Let's start with disclosures. Danella?
None.
Jared?
Nope.
Samir?
No.
Bob?
None.
Jason?
Nope.
Pat? No. And I did a drive-by. Sir, and you have been sworn in? Okay, please state your name and property address.
My name is Jeffrey Martin, general contractor with JM Builders, FLA Inc., here for 5811 Bayview Drive, Fort Lauderdale, Florida 33308. The owner's also here, Scott Cavallaro. He's in attendance as well. We're seeking a variance of slightly over a foot for a shaded structure. We have a building permit for our structure. It was permitted back in April. We began construction shortly after. We ran into an existing electrical conduit underground that was unforeseen. We had to move our column slightly. When the building inspector came in to do our frame inspection, he noted that it was slightly off than our plan, so he asked us to do a revision. When we did our revision, a variance was requested. So we have since then, gone through so many obstacles and applied for this variance to come here today to ask for slight modification.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a resident RS8 property. There's no back neighbor. This is only moving it 1 foot to the south side. The neighbor's totally in support, has no issue. Yeah, so I mean, if you guys have any questions.
Okay.
One question.
Yes, sir.
Bob, let me just see if there's anybody from the public wishing to speak, then we'll bring up for questions. So hang tight. I don't think we do. Anybody from the public wishing to speak on this matter? Okay, seeing that we don't, we're going to bring it back to the board for any questions. Go ahead, Bob.
So the obstacle or the hardship that you found is the electrical, what components?
It's a conduit that runs the power to the dock.
It's a concrete conduit
yes,
underneath?
Yeah. So it runs the power down to the dock in the back of the house. So we just moved our column a little bit over to not have to.
And if you didn't have that, it'd be in compliance?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Done.
Okay. Is there any other questions to the applicant from the board? Okay, thank you, sir. And bring it back to board for a motion. Go ahead, Bob.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant a variance to the individual for Section 47-19.2P, freestanding shade structures. This requests a variance to allow a freestanding shaded structure to be in the south side yard setback of 3.3 feet, whereas the code requires a minimum setback of 5 feet, side yard requirement for a total variance request of 1.3 feet as per the survey submitted. The hardship was created due to electrical findings underground with concrete conduit, which prohibited the property owner from adhering to the zoning requirements.
Just point of clarification, you typically electrical conduit is it's not concrete. I just want to make sure for the record that when you make the statement that doesn't end up being the deciding factor. Because it's probably not, it wasn't a concrete, I'm sure.
No, it's a
conduit.
It's a conduit,
piece of metal.
That's where the concrete footer goes.
Yeah.
So
just for clarification, if that's the reason why you're making.
Yes, I thought you said.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion and second. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, Nicole.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mrs. Rathburn? No. Mr. Hagopin?
No.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Yannick?
Yes.
Mr. Galis?
Yes.
Chair Elfman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Next case number 251-00001, 3348 Northeast 38th Street. Start with disclosures. Danella?
None.
Jared?
Nope.
Samir?
No.
Bob?
None.
Jason?
Nope.
Pat?
No.
And I did a drive-by. So we have an applicant. Sir, please state your name and property address. And if you could, just click the microphone on for us.
My name is Dwayne Shaw, and I'm the agent for the owners.
And could I just clarification, when you say agent, you're referring in which capacity?
I was just hired as the agent. I'm not the I am a contractor, but I am not the contractor on this. They asked. I was basically hired to assist them with it. It's one of my subcontractors, I should say.
Okay, 1 second there. Dwayne, do we need any type of clarification for that? Or any documentation?
If we have a agent letter and on file, that's fine, as long as the applicant has designated them to operate in that capacity.
Okay, and do we have that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, just want to make sure that when we go, we go. So go ahead.
All right, no problem. I'll try to make this quick. As I stated, I am a contractor, which is somewhat kind of funny. I kind of fell into the business, didn't really plan on being it. Started flipping houses 10 plus years ago, and got busted a few times doing work without permits. And eventually I was like, all right, I decided to become a contractor so I can kind of control my own my own properties. But since then, people hire me a lot of times to do code violations, to cure those. And lately, for whatever reason, a lot of people have been hitting me to help them out with the variance. So hence why I'm here, and been here a few times. Some of the people are like, me again. And I'm like, yeah, me again. So, but the owners here got with our partners. They were looking to basically make over their backyard, and they wanted to add a pergola awning, as I'm going to call it, into the backyard. And we contacted the city to find out what they are able to do. They have such a uniquely shaped lot. It is a pie-shaped lot. So the front of the house is a fairly good size. The backyard, not as much because of the way that it points. So some restraints there. So we contacted the city to find out exactly what it is that we're able to do. And we were told that we were able to install a pergola with a 15-foot setback. So we went to the owners, game plan with them, came up with a great plan in terms of what they wanted, sold them on the idea of the pergola. And once we put it in for permitting, they came back and said, no, it's a 25-foot setback. The biggest issue that came out was, I guess, semantics of it. There's many different forms and types of pergolas. The moment that you attach something to the house, the city of Fort Lauderdale, by their code, defines that pergola as an awning, and it completely changed what we're able to do based upon the code. So it basically immediately went from a 15-foot setback to now a 25-foot setback. And unfortunately, we had to then go back to the owners and be like, well, in what you want to do, you basically have to cut it down into half. It just wasn't functional. So here we are. We're asking for permission for a 15-foot setback, which I believe came out to about a 7-foot adjustment, if I'm not mistaken, 8 feet.
9.5 feet.
Okay.
25 to 15.5.
Yep. So we're asking for the adjustment on that, and then on the side adjustments, we needed a 1.5 foot adjustment for the pergola.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I mean, for the most part, they just want to be able to enjoy the yard, freely. Our framers intended us for life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. So they want to basically be able to enjoy the yard fully. The current code by that kind of enables that or disenables that. I also just want to point out that when I was also looking at the code, there are 7 subdivisions that does allow for a 15-foot setback for an awning. Unfortunately, this is just not one of the 7, so the request is not an unusual request. And yeah, I will end it there.
Okay. See if there's any questions for the applicant, board. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I even opened up the public hearing.
Oh.
So if I did not, is there anybody from the public wishing to speak to this matter? Okay, seeing that there's none, I'll bring it back to the board. Board, do we have any questions of the applicant? Pat?
Yeah. I don't know if anybody else feels this way about it, but in the past, we've gotten requests for variances with the hardship that the sun comes out.
Yes.
And the sun comes out everywhere. So I don't think that this is unique or special that the sun comes out on this property. So just pointing that out for future reference, if you're drafting one of these narratives, that to me is not a hardship.
Even if it's
neither is safety and health concerns of prolonged sun exposure in Florida's climate is heat exhaustion and UV exposure. You know, that again is not unique or special. We all are subject to the sun.
Okay.
The economic and property value is not a hardship. What was this, $1.2 million, this house? So it's loss of reasonable improvement rights. No, there's no loss of reasonable improvement rights. This property has got the same criteria on it as every other property in the neighborhood. So
even with the pointed,
it's
the lot.
You know, I just wanted to make the point that you know, I don't see a lot of hardship in this particular case.
And I would just kind of maybe add to that you know, I always kind of think about we have that one requirement about your variance is the minimum variance, right? That will make possible a reasonable use of the property.
Yes.
So, you know, when I look at this, I was like, well, you should have just we could have gotten rid of one of the variances you're asking for by just moving the side, the 1 foot part over more, and maybe, you know, adjusting the size a little bit to be a less, you know, the very minimum variance. But because this is such an extreme thing, I think you don't meet that requirement.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for the applicant before I bring it back to the board for discussion? Okay, thank you, sir. And by the way, I just want to disclose, I did drive by the property. I did not get to see the backyard. I only got to see the side.
Chair?
Yes.
Sorry, I'd like to see exactly where, like in the photos provided, where the pergola would be.
Yeah, I do have like a rendering.
Is that a rendering that's part of our package? No. Okay, then yeah, you are. And we're just going to hold on to it afterwards.
It becomes a part of the record, so you don't get those back.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
This is just an example of what it would look like.
Thank you. Okay, and I do recall this is a pie-shaped lot.
Yes.
Okay, Danella, did you have any questions for the applicant based on the what was provided?
Yes, so what you're saying is that because of the shape of the lot, there's no other place that this pergola could be constructed?
Yeah, there would be no other place.
If it was a freestanding pergola, though, it could potentially go right here, no? Or would that still be not up to code?
If it was a freestanding, I believe they may be able to do something smaller. It wouldn't be able to do what they need to do because it touches the house. That was the the biggest setback.
Thank you.
Okay. Samir, go ahead.
So if there were like other locations by doing a freestanding, why wasn't that explored?
Because of where they wanted, essentially it's more of the owner's preference and how the weather, they wanted it against the house to basically maximize the space and create a larger area where they're able to really just step right out. There is a door right there, so it allows them to enjoy the space right by the door.
Okay.
Are ready for a motion?
Go ahead, Pat.
Are we ready?
I don't think anybody has anything else, so thank you, sir. You good?
Okay. I think that the applicant just sort of summed it up for me, and that is that it is what they want, not what they need. There is obviously an ability to build something smaller, and they wouldn't be here if they were a freestanding structure. So I believe the hardship is self-created, and therefore I make a motion to deny.
Do we have a second?
Second. Oh, sorry.
Okay. No, perfect. Any further discussion? Okay. Nicole? And this is for a motion to deny.
Correct. Motion to deny.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes. Yes.
Mrs. Rathburn? Yes. Mr. Hagopian?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Yannick?
Yes.
Mr. Galis?
Yes.
And Chair Elfman?
Yes.
Motion to deny passes.
Okay. You do always have the opportunity to appeal to the City Commission. Okay. Next case number 251-00002, 414 Royal Plaza Drive. Let's start with disclosures. Danella?
None.
Jared?
I spoke with counsel briefly yesterday.
Okay. Samir?
I did receive a voicemail, but wasn't able to connect.
Okay. Bob?
None.
Jason?
None.
Pat?
None.
And I did drive by, and I do believe that there was a letter that we had as well on this particular one, if I recall. Go ahead.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Thompson. I'm here on behalf of the property owner. I was sworn in. I'm with the law firm Niskel Backman, located in Boca Raton, 14 Southeast 4th Street, Suite 36. I do have a present. Oh.
So just for the record, we have an agent letter for Hope Calhoun of that law firm. So you are.
I am one of the attorneys with Niskel Backman.
Thank you.
Yep.
I knew you weren't home, so.
I was asked that a couple times. Anyways, I know it's been a late night. I have a presentation prepared that I'm more than happy to give out. Otherwise, I can take questions.
We're going to leave that choice to you, which way you want to do it. If you have a presentation, you're welcome to give it.
Well, let's run it through, guys. You know,
Okay.
We've been here all night. What's another couple minutes?
Okay.
I know it was sent to staff, the PowerPoint. Oh, is it up? So we will not be presenting the PowerPoint tonight.
Okay. Or you may.
We're going to find out. Okay, thank you. Anyways, while we wait for it to go up, I can just give you a little bit of a brief background as to why we are here tonight. So this is an existing, and a lot of our discussions between our architect and the property owner and with city staff, we're calling it a gazebo, but it's a freestanding shade structure. Say that 5 times fast. So this gazebo, this freestanding shade structure is existing today. And today we are here asking for 2 variances. We're asking for a 6.5-foot setback to the rear yard setback. And with freestanding shade structures, they are required to be open on all sides. So we are asking for a variance to allow one of the sides to be enclosed. So what happened with this is that the plans were drawn. They were submitted to the city. The city reviewed them. They approved them. A permit was issued. Construction began. And now here we are today where construction is almost finished. I believe the single family home is almost done. I think the finishing touches are being added and the gazebo has already been constructed. So it wasn't until recently, I think within the last month, that city staff realized that the gazebo was permitted prematurely and that we were required to have variances for it to be reviewed and approved and constructed. So we're here today just to make sure everything is in right order and that it is permitted as it stands today, how it's designed and where it's located on the site.
I know you don't have your presentation up, so we still have a little time on that. I'm just going to see, is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this matter? Okay, we still have a couple minutes. I do have one question in the meantime. When the plans were submitted, was it a separate plan or was it part of the master building plan on the home?
Glenn, do you know? And okay, so there is a separate accessory permit, but it's also submitted as part of the master plan as well.
Okay, thank you. I think we can pull your PowerPoint. Just need somebody to click.
So is it that this was originally approved and then it was like an oops, there was a mistake by the...
Yes, correct.
By
So
the
it
city.
was reviewed, it was approved, and it was permitted all through the right channels, and then it was constructed. So it's been constructed. It's there on the site now. It's just at some point staff ended up, and I'm not sure what the reason was. Maybe Glenn does know, who's the architect on the project. That at some point staff recently went back and looked and saw that that should have been gone through the variance process for its design and its location.
Okay. Will you ask any reason why we have a technical issue of the PowerPoint?
What?
Okay. Any questions in the meantime, Bob?
Well, I didn't realize it's already built, and it's sort of I guess, a oops cleanup thing for the board. If there's not any objections, I would sort of suggest we just do it.
Well,
Unless there's an issue.
You can make a
I
motion.
know, well,
We'll
I'm
see if
asking
there's
my
any
colleagues
objections.
here. I don't want to be a hog all night.
I completely agree.
The city, if the city kind of approved it and then they followed
Okay.
everything.
And
do it.
it's already under construction. It's already
already
under
done.
construction.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
mean, like, what can they reasonably do? You know, so
Okay, I'll do.
Okay. Go ahead, Bob.
You want it?
And I do find that a hardship, yeah.
I make a motion to grant the variance per section 47-19.2.p for application BOA 2510002, that the applicant has met the criteria for a variance for this project.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Nicole? Don't worry about the PowerPoint, by the way.
That's okay.
That's on me. This is
We're
this is my
done.
first time in front of you,
Hopefully.
and I will know the next time to do this.
Motion.
Okay.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mrs. Rathburn? Yes. Mr. Hagopin?
Yep.
Mr. Yonit?
yes.
Mr. Galis?
Yes.
And Chair Elfman?
Yes, motion passes. You can tell. Hope you did good.
Thank you so much.
Okay, any communication for the city commission? My only communication is thank you for the new seats. Very comfortable. And is there anything for the good of the city? Seeing none, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. If you want.